They say you should never buy a house unseen, but there's a lot more to some houses than meets the eye. And so, let Akimbo be your own personal real estate agent as we take you on a tour of some of the strangest and most ingenious houses ever built. Have you ever become sick and tired of living in a traditional house? Bricks, the concrete, the straight lines? And if so, have you ever considered that the solution to this dissatisfaction might be to live in the ground like a hobbit? Well, then this is the house for you. Yes, what you're looking at is an earth house owned by Ernst Schwab and Silvana Bocelli in the heart of Switzerland. Designed by architect Peter Vetsch.
Ich habe gesehen, dass die ganze Gesellschaft, man konsumiert viel, man macht die Natur kaputt.
Who has built over 90 such houses in his career, earth houses have many advantages, besides making you feel like you're living inside a Peter Jackson movie. There's the insulation from the earth surrounding the house, the large windows which let in sunlight,
It's a good feeling to sleep.
and the general roundness of the house makes for a very relaxing feeling. Oh, and did we mention all the funky mosaic patterns and pictures?
Those in Silvana live, work and create in this remarkable home.
The house is standing now here as we liked it.
If there's one kind of house that gets laughed at more than others, then it has to be those with wheels. But as with human beings, it's what's on the inside that counts. So yes, this place may be small, or perhaps compact is a more polite way to put it, but it has everything you need and looks great. Known as a nomad tiny house, this home is 24 feet long by 8.5 feet wide, but still manages to fit in a U-shaped dinette, a main floor bedroom, and even a mini bathtub. But let's be honest, the main benefit of having a house on wheels is that you can move to a new area whenever you feel like it, which is fantastic if you hate your neighbors. And that's where this home comes into its own. It has dual systems to run off-grid or be hooked up to electricity and plumbing, and also has a retractable folding deck at the end for instant outdoor living space wherever it's parked. It's also easy to move around thanks to its lightweight design and ability to go on the road without a special towing permit. What's not to like? This is Beckham Creek Cave Lodge. And why is it called that? Well, the clue is in the name. Only reachable via a road that's covered by a river, this place is part cave, part luxury home. In other words, if Bruce Wayne saw it, he'd be selling his mansion, closing down the Batcave, and setting up shop here instead. Even before you walk through the door, you can tell it's gonna be impressive. But when you get inside, well, what can you say? Just look at how luxurious this place is. All it's really missing is a space for you to park your Batmobile. Do you have a spare $100 million burning a hole in your pocket? Well, why not buy yourself this mega mansion in Bel Air, California? This one-of-a-kind trophy estate has 8 bedrooms, 21 bathrooms, and over 41,000 square feet of living space. So yeah, there's plenty of room if you're planning on raising a family here, especially if your family consists of about 300 children. And if you want to keep those numerous offspring entertained, then you've got nothing to worry about. There's a basketball court, a 36-person theater, an indoor pool, along with 8 bars and a 12,000-bottle wine cellar. Just in case your kids have reached the age where they enjoy a quick drink or two.
Hello, you must be Dylan.
Most of us only ever get into a plane when we're going on vacation, but this guy decided he'd prefer to be on board 365 days a year.
I do love my bird. With all of the flaws, it's still a wonderful living environment.
Yeah, that's a full plane you're looking at, resting in the middle of a small forest. Bruce here never wanted a mortgage and had always been happy living in his mobile home. But then he was struck by an original but slightly strange idea. Why not buy himself a plane? Bruce's Boeing 747 home is connected to electricity, to a phone line, to a sewer, and its water is supplied by a natural well. Apparently, it didn't take much work or money, as you might think. According to Bruce, once the engines of an aircraft are removed, the remaining parts essentially become worthless. In other words, he's suggested that the so-called death camps, where old planes go to die, should be a thing of the past and turned into aircraft home development parks. It's a crazy idea, but it just might work. What you're looking at here is one of the world's safest mansions, so much so that it's actually called the Safe House.
The Safe House was designed to be just that. It was designed architecturally and functionally to be a structure that was safe.
Firstly, there's a perimeter detection system. As soon as you step foot on the property, various lights come on, the blinds go down, the camera locks on whoever the intruder might be, and the house owner can chat with them through the two-way voice activation. And the conversation can be had in the house, in the car, or anywhere else on the entire planet, giving the illusion that there's an occupant there at all times. In the unlikely event that someone does manage to break in, they'd have to get into an area called the Safe Core through a 650-pound bomb-proof door. In fact, even if you're not an intruder, you have to use a biometrics-based system, which works on either face recognition or blood flow through your body. In other words, if you're a professional house thief, then just forget about the place. It's easier to just break into the next house over instead. This may look like a bunch of mutant potatoes with windows built into them, but it's actually a sustainable dome home called Bonita Domes. This weird house first came into being when Lisa Starr moved to Joshua Tree, California, with dreams of building a sustainable home for herself, and she certainly managed to achieve that ambition. As you can probably tell, this structure is built using the earth that surrounds it, and in addition to Lisa's home, there are also areas open to visitors. There's a dome called the Shower House, which basically does what it says on the tin. But this was also the first dome built and the place where Lisa originally lived. Then we have the sleep area, which doesn't have a roof or any walls, so it is indeed an area rather than a room. There's also an outdoor kitchen and a fire pit, so if you like the idea of sleeping under the stars, then this place might be for you. But when it comes to Lisa's personal dome home, it has all the modern conveniences you might need. Could there be a more appropriate home for a holistic health practitioner?
Hola, bienvenidos a mi casa.
If you have a problem with heights, then you definitely don't want to spend the night at this guy's house. In fact, you may even get some seriously sweaty palms just watching this video. Tascariega converted this abandoned church in the north of Spain into a spacious loft. But perhaps the most bizarre feature is the room, which can only be reached via slackline. No circus skills? Then this house is not for you. Tass has no real religious convictions, however, and as you can see from the interior, the only clues that this was ever a church lie in the basic shape of the place. Otherwise, for Tass, his girlfriend, and his dog, this place is simply home. Where the altar once stood is now a modern kitchen, and various modern artworks hang on the old church walls, which once, no doubt, featured religious paintings and holy relics. But hey, let's be honest here, what you really want to hear about is the slackline, isn't it? Well, if Tass wants to get from his office to the bedroom, then he has to perform the kind of stunt that would make the Jackass crew think twice. A strange choice, given that home is the place you usually go to relax. They say that only cockroaches could survive a nuclear apocalypse, but it's unlikely that a cockroach could afford a place like this. Beneath this unassuming-looking house is an $18 million underground bunker that's been there since the Cold War. From outside, however, this doesn't look like an expensive property. A dry well and an untended garden, lamps without bulbs, it's not pretty. But there's also a fake tree, which is basically a chimney in disguise, expelling smoke from the fireplace in the bunker itself, as well as 8 air conditioning units, which is pretty essential if you're going to be spending time underground in Las Vegas. Anyway, what's inside? Well, after a slow trip in an elevator, you emerge into something that looks like a nightclub from the 70s, leading to living areas, bedrooms, bathrooms, a swimming pool, a 4-hole putting course, oh, and a big metal capsule. And why is it there? Well, this capsule can hold 5 human heads and 4 human bodies, because the original owners of this place were into cryogenic freezing. If you're still not freaked out, then this place is actually for sale, and any frozen corpses are thrown in for free. You've heard of the invisibility cloak from Harry Potter, right? Well, this is exactly the same, except you can live in it. Once again, we return to the mysterious location of Joshua Tree for this next bizarre home on our list. The invisible house is entirely constructed of glass panels with a mirrored finish, which means that the structure reflects the landscape around it, creating the illusion that it is, in fact, invisible. Inside, this place is pure luxury. 3 bedrooms, 4 bathrooms, a swimming pool, and a kitchen big enough to hold dinner parties for a family of giants. Needless to say, there are views of the surrounding landscape everywhere you look, giving you a sense that you're vacationing on Mars rather than the USA. And even better, it's available for short-term rentals. This is definitely the coolest Airbnb in the world. There aren't many places that need a welcome mat saying "Don't look down," but this is certainly one of them. This place is known as the Pole House, which may have something to do with the fact that it just sticks out from the main structure, almost seeming to hang in the air with no visible means of support. So if you don't like the idea of spending an evening somewhere that's liable to give you a panic attack, then you may want to think twice. But if you don't have an issue with heights, then this place is clearly an experience not to be missed. I mean, just check out those views. And if that doesn't impress you, then how cool is that bathroom? Well, here it is, every skateboarder's dream home. Owned by pro skateboarder, Etnies owner, and shoe mogul Pierre-André Senizerguez, the PAS house, designed by artist Gilles Lebon de la Pointe, is probably his most ambitious project to date. Now, this place has all the mod cons, of course: bedroom, living and dining areas, kitchen. But the most outstanding feature of this home, and indeed the thing that will make every skateboarder watching this video squeal with delight, is that every section of the house is completely skateable. Each surface is reminiscent of either a half pipe, a ramp, or a rail. What more could any skater ask for? A team of paramedics standing by, perhaps? But otherwise, nothing. And now we have Pete Nelson and Laurel Waters with their Chateau Treehouse, or as they sometimes call it, their castle in the sky. A grand staircase takes you up into the main deck, which is over 400 square feet, and the interior is almost as impressive as the scenery that surrounds it. Chandeliers, stained glass windows, ceramic peacocks. Hey, why not? This is a chateau after all, and it certainly lives up to the name. Chateau's 2 stories hold a sitting room, dining nook, spacious bathroom, and winding turret to a luxurious bedroom with a king-size bed fit for a king, or a queen, or both, or 2 kings and 2 queens. If you want to combine your childhood love of hiding away from adults up in the branches with a few days of opulence, then you could do a lot worse than booking this place. This next house might look like something designed for a gnome, particularly as it's situated at the bottom of a garden, but it actually belongs to Cam, a local artist who wanted a home where he could express his style while living in comfort, and most importantly, didn't cost him an arm and a leg. Well, despite its size, Cam has clearly got what he wanted. There's a lounge, a kitchen, decking, a hammock-style relaxation area, bathroom, bedroom, and even a special area for his dog. And just check out that view! Needless to say, this was a huge selling point for Cam, so he made sure that all the windows in the loft were landscape style to really make the most of the surrounding landscape. Impressive! If you had the money and skills to design and build your own home, then you probably wouldn't want it to be tiny, right? Or maybe you would, like this home, which is actually owned by an architect. Riley's Terrace is in a row of 6 other houses, and it's only 3 meters wide. But this is definitely a great example of how you can make a lot out of a little. Described as an honest deconstruction and expression of how we live, something very important to the architect was the connection to the outdoors. This is why there's a line of view from the front door to the back door, so that the world outside is always visible, featuring a large tree in the centralized space, with other flexible spaces including a kitchen, dining room, bedrooms, bathrooms, and living area. The outdoors theme is always noticeable, particularly when it comes to the abundance of natural light throughout. And now we're heading off to Tokyo to see its tiniest luxury apartment. If you've ever lived in a city, then tiniest could also be a way to describe the worst apartment you could possibly rent. But to be fair, this place is pretty neat, tidy, and livable. There's a surprising amount of closet space, a kitchen area that Snow White's friends would feel comfortable using, an amazingly okay-sized washroom and shower, plenty of light, and loft space, which could obviously be used for a bedroom, unless you're planning to save money by not sleeping and plan to get a second job at night. Now, it might be difficult to imagine how you could fit any kind of furniture in here, or any kind of person that's even slightly overweight, but just take a look at how one of the residents manages to make the most out of this tiny space. Just like every house on this list, Akimbo needs a solid structure and plenty of support to make sure we don't suddenly collapse overnight. And how can you help support this ever-growing structure which our Akimbo Ninja calls home? Easy! Click subscribe!